Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing another perfume review. Marvellous. That is right, my friends. Once again, I have returned to you this time with another perfume review. And the perfume we are reviewing today is Roadster by Cartier. This review will follow my tried and trusty technique of telling you the notes, telling you which notes I get, and then just discussing the fragrance until I am satisfied that I have done it justice. So, this perfume was released in 2008, which is 17 years ago. Now, that's an absolutely outrageous fucking fact. I can't believe that shit. That is awful. The perfumer is Mathilde Laurent, Cartier's long-term in-house perfumer. And the notes are bergamot, mint, patchouli, vetiver, vanilla, and labdanum. The notes I get are bergamot, mint, patchouli. Okay. So, when I was 22, 23, when this perfume came out, I tried it in one of those. In the UK, we have shops called the Perfume Shop, which is exactly what it sounds like it is. It's a shop for perfumes. And I think it's safe to say that Cartier is a designer house. This is because they are widely available. They make other things than perfume, and they're reasonably priced. They have a reasonably priced line. At this sort of time, 2008, not many brands had higher end. They didn't have a higher end line. There was Tom Ford had just brought one out. Dior had brought one out about 4 or 5 years earlier, and Chanel had just introduced the Les Exclusives. They weren't ubiquitous, you know. So Cartier had its designer line, and this had just been released. Now, this is named after the watch. Okay. And this very fetching bottle you see before you with what I always thought looked like a nipple on the top was in fact the Cyclops, the piece of glass that goes over the date window. So you have to imagine you've got your dial that goes around like this, and then this bit magnifies the date. And here is the crown of the watch that you twist to set the time and the date and stuff. And then as if you're looking down on the top, that would magnify the thing. It's a fuck ugly piece. It's no wonder the fucking watch was discontinued. Unfortunately, when they did discontinue the watch, they discontinued the perfume as well. Talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. What a disaster. Christ. Don't do that. The watch was awful. I've got a Santos watch, which is gorgeous. And a lot of the Cartier, because they're like jewelers and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff they do is amazing and very French and arty, but the Roadster was... Maybe they thought it was good looking in the same way that they think Gerard Depardieu is good looking, but not, you know? Excuse me whilst I hydrate. Anyway, on to the fragrance. This is one of my favourite fragrances, as you can tell by the state of this bottle. Look at how much I have used, even though when I was 22, 23, when this came out, and I bought it and used a lot of it, back then, I still find it wearable and lovely now. This kind of fits in with my theory that as people get older, they're willing to spend more money on vintage fragrances because those fragrances are now the scents of their youth, which kind of fits in with what I'm saying about this. But anyway, I think this is far superior to any designer that's been released in 10 years, at least 10 years, probably going back further. They don't make designers like this anymore. So, when you first spray this, let me just apply. Spray's really good, the cap's really good. When you first spray this, you are met with mint and bergamot, and this combination of the two with some of the vetiver as well gives off a crunchy green apple skin vibe. That is exactly what it gives me. It's crunchy, green. Oh, it's so good. It's very, very juicy. It's very, very firm, crunchy apple. And it's the skin. That sharpness burns off quite quickly, and I assume that sharpness is given to that accord by the bergamot, because bergamot's the type of thing that goes quick. Then you start to experience aspects of the mint, the green mint leaf, that are slightly drier. They're slightly chalky in that kind of dryness. There's a little bit of acidity left from the green apple skin. I forget what they're Golden Delicious or Granny Smith's, whichever one's really bitter, sour and juicy, you know? Like your ma. What? No. There's a very clever interplay between the mint and the patchouli through the vetiver and eventually the vanilla, which brings that kind of white chalky aspect of the mint, because mint can be quite dry if you want it to be, depending on what you pair with it. This is the genius of perfumers and stuff like that. And I get a lot of whiteness from this. A lot of people, somebody mentioned to me recently on a live stream that they were surprised I didn't get the white musk aspect from this, because they said it was a huge white musk perfume to them. I don't necessarily get musk. What I do get is some like dry whiteness, but it's offset and balanced beautifully against this juicy bergamot at first, and then green juice from the vetiver. It's very clean, very green. It's not like Geranium Pour Monsieur. There are certain aspects of it that cross over. I'm sure there are some similar chemicals, ingredients involved, but it does leave you with this fresh green mint aspect with a round, slightly I don't mean this in a negative way, but like a flat texture. Like, it's not matte, but it's quite flat for a while in the middle, where it stays very stable, fresh and green. And then as the mint starts to let go of its grip on the overall perfume, you start to feel more of this earthy, slightly chocolatey patchouli and vanilla. And after you've had the green apple skin at first, and then this kind of mint that it doesn't really ever leave completely, but it does sort of ease off a bit. The vanilla and the patchouli come out, and they, combined with the mint, give this mint choc chip ice cream sort of vibe. Without it ever, for me, I know I've used a lot of foodie analogies here, but it never really becomes gourmand, out and out gourmand. Maybe that's because the standard I'm comparing it to is gourmands of today, where they just smell like fucking sugar, like someone's poured molten sugar down your throat, or molten cotton candy, or fucking cherry fucking cough syrup. It's not like that. It has aspect, wafts, wisps of that every once in a while, but it's always brought back to being more abstract, more kind of other. You know, it's not quite as blunt as perfumes like that, you know. And the mint choc chip ice cream sort of thing, you would think, if you were to say to someone, do you want to smell like mint choc chip? Not massively, but the way it's done is very, very clever. And I'm pretty sure that Cryptomint by Mugler, which came some 7 or 8 years later, is pretty heavily inspired by this. But for me, this is clear. The performance is actually fantastic, especially for a clean green scent. The bottle's amazing, and it is one of my favourite perfumes. And that is it, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I will see you again soon.